How's it going everyone? Welcome back to a new league racing video, and for this one we're going back almost 2 months at this stage. It's taken quite a while to get this edited, just with a few other things going on and not really having the time. But we are here at Montreal for round 5 of the RTA Virtual Motorsport F4 Championship, sponsored by Motorsport.ie. So this championship is well and truly over at this stage, but still taking a quick look at the standings as we head into Canada. Have to look a long way down the standings before you find my name down in P26, just the 36 points, which I feel like I definitely should have more. I feel like my pace has been better than my standings show, and it's really just my consistency which has been letting me down, making too many mistakes, especially when I am in good positions. Looking up the top of the standings, Jason Smith leads the way over Ronan Doherty, followed by Rory O'Shea, Conor Melia and Sean McClemens are your top 5. So hopefully a few good results here today in Canada, and we can move our way a bit further up the standings. But we're in qualifying here now, and about halfway through. It hasn't been the best session so far, making a few too many mistakes by myself, and on that lap there we're on for seemed to be a pretty good one, but got kind of blocked into the lash sector and ended up going for a spin, and then at the wall of champions on another lap again, just getting it a bit wrong, losing the car and then getting completely smashed into by Finlay Melvin. So we ended up doing one more lap in qualifying, and it was a 1:38.1, which put me in P17 for race 1 here at Montreal. So as we get ready for the lights for race 1 here in Montreal, the red lights come on and I get a bit confused and jump the start. So unfortunate start to race 1 there. We're going to have to serve a drive-through penalty, and yeah, losing a lot of places here on the run into turn 1, but it doesn't really matter because we're going to have to come into the pits after that silly mistake that I can't even remember the last time I've jumped the start on iRace, and it's quite a while ago. So yeah, not the greatest start, and it's going to get even worse as into this chicane we get a bit of a check-up, just as you do on lap 1, get run into the back of, and I think I've lost my rear wing. You can see on the steering wheel quite a lot of damage, so head into the pits the end of lap 1. A few more people having issues on the runoff area of the wall of champions. So unfortunately for this pit stop we are going to get our damage fix. Luckily fast repairs are on in RTA, so we get that done nice and quickly, back out onto the track in P21, and then the end of the very next lap back into the pit lane, this time just to go the whole way through to clear that penalty. And a few cars still in the pit, so we're not going to be completely dead last, but as we rejoin the track we are way down the order, and really nothing else happened for that race. Gained a couple of positions from a few people having their own issues, but we eventually crossed the line after 10 minutes to finish in P17. So somehow in the end we actually ended up in P15, and considering the start we had with the damage for the first lap, doing 2 goals through the pit lane, somehow managing to pick up 2 places from where we started is definitely more than I was expecting. So hopefully we can have a better start to race 2 and gain a couple of more positions to have a better starting place for race 3. So on the start, getting ready to go again. This time Brian McCarthy behind me jumps the start. We don't on this occasion, so I know how Brian feels on that one, but luckily for us we got off nice and cleanly for race 2 here in RTA at Montreal, taking it nice and easy into turn 1, because even though it's the second race, my first time racing into turn 1 here today. Go around the outside, I think we got a move done and managed to cover off Sergey, who was trying to put a move on us, doing a bit of a switchback, and luckily on this occasion we managed to make it through the first chicane as well. Simon Hutchings behind, getting very close, but luckily avoids the back of us. Going to the next chicane, I don't really know what happened. I was braking, I felt it was at my normal point. I don't think I was going to make contact with the car ahead, but then Simon Goy went for a very late dive and didn't leave a lot of room, so made a little bit of contact with the car that was ahead of me, upset my line. No damage thankfully, I think, or there might have been a small bit, but we luckily survived, only losing a couple of places. We then skip ahead to the end of lap 1 into the final chicane, and Dara ahead in the other car, he just clips the back of his car into the wall of champions. Unfortunately I hit the front of my car and we end up with some front wing damage, and then head onto lap 2. Dermot Toomey in the green car just goes for a spin. Luckily we managed to avoid him. Some cars weren't as lucky and we end up losing a couple of more places there. Skipping to lap 4 then into the hairpin, and all sorts of madness is happening there. Cars bouncing all over the place. Peter McCann, who's just ahead of us now, was off the track, so we get a couple of positions there, and yeah, not really sure what happened there at the hairpin, but fast forward ahead then, Peter goes into the pits, so we gain yet another position. And after getting a good few now just on this lap, we were P17 at the start of it, we are now up into P13, so we gained quite a few positions on that lap, and we are now behind Sergei Grabin, and seem to be pretty similar pace as David Prunty there at the first turn, having a bit of an issue going for a spin, so we move up into the top 12. And for pretty much the rest of the race we had a really good race against Sergei Grabin, who is now just up ahead of us still as we're about to go on to the final lap. This was probably the closest I had been to Sergei, and it seemed that I was a bit quicker in the turns, but I think with my damage it was costing me a bit of top end speed, so he was able to keep the positions ahead on the straight. But on this lap out of the wall of champion chicane, he made a bit of a mistake. We got a bit of a run into turn 1, but unfortunately we weren't able to get the move done. One thing that was a bit distracting while being behind Sergei is out of some of the turns it seemed that he was sliding, possibly a bit of desync, but it took a long time, a good number of laps for me to realise that he wasn't actually going for a spin, because when you see somebody's car going a bit sideways, your natural instinct is to kind of slow down and be prepared to avoid an incident. But luckily for both of us that never happened, and we both stayed pointing the same direction, or at least that was the case until the final corner. Sergei getting on the curb a bit too much and going for that spin, and unfortunately being so close behind him just weren't able to avoid it. So we managed to get the car turned around, lose a couple of positions just before the line, but really don't really mind that. Sergei apologised for that incident, even though it was just an honest mistake, and crossed the line, and we finish in P16. So it was 16th in the end then, losing one position from where we started, which is unfortunate considering we were fighting for P11 with Sergei. So unfortunate incident there at the final turn, but that's racing, it happens, and yeah, we move on into race 3. And for the final time here today, we wait for the lights here at Montreal. A bit of a different change of scenery this time, starting on the right hand side of the grid after starting on the left hand side for the first 2 races, but we are away down into turn 1. Yeah, a bit of a jump on Peter McCann, who's there beside us there, and into turn 1 and turn 2 have the inside line trying to get the move on Peter. Bit of a traction battle then into the first chicane, and luckily with the inside line, Peter, he's a smart driver, he backs out of it and we get that move done. And once again we are behind our old rival from the previous race, Sergei. This time being right behind him through the final turn. Luckily we both make it through unscathed, and I really wasn't expecting this, but Sergei actually let me pass on the run to the line as a kind of way of him saying sorry for the incident in the previous race, which really wasn't needed, but very much appreciated, as it was the most obvious just bit of race incident that you could come across. But unfortunately, it's going to backfire for Sergey as into the chicane, just get it all wrong, go for a spin. Both him and Peter end up hitting into the back of me, which is unfortunate, and we have a serious amount of damage here. I was going to try and make my way back to the pits, but unfortunately ended up having to get a tow and then coming out of the pits. All the cars were coming past, which is unfortunate timing, so just waiting on the pit exit, letting all the cars that are a lap or two ahead of me past. Don't want to get in the way and cause any issues as a lap car. About a lap later though, it was the car that was ahead of me causing a few issues. I think that was Shane Henry going for a bit of a spin, and we got a bit caught up with that. And then just fast forwarding ahead, I could see that Peter and Sergey were coming up close behind me, so I decided to just let off the throttle, let those pass, because once again don't want to cause any issues. One thing though is I seem to have pretty good pace as I was keeping up with Peter and Sergey, so went for a spin there, which is unfortunate, but it showed that I seem to have pretty good pace and I could have possibly fought with those guys. And yeah, for the rest of this race it was just kind of, I wasn't racing for anything, so losing concentration, just making some mistakes. In the end, just going to show up the results here as we are on the final lap of this race. I ended up down in 19th place, which, considering the race that I've had, to finish still around where I finished in the other races in this round is a bit strange, to be honest. Sean McClemens taking what would be considered a dominant win here in this championship over Ronan Doherty, and Jason Smith rounding out the top three. Looking around the standings, you can see Peter there in 12th, Sergey in 14th, so only for that mistake on lap 2 I feel like I could have been in and around those guys at the end of this race. So although it wasn't the plan, unfortunately this did end up being my last race of this season. I ended up having PC issues literally the day of the next round, which was at Silverstone, and I ended up having to get a new computer, which didn't arrive until after the championship had ended, which was very unfortunate because I really enjoyed driving these F4 cars which on this grid, and I feel like there was definitely a few better results ahead of me for the rest of the season if I had been able to take part. What's even more unfortunate is I'm not taking part in the current season, which is British Touring Car Championship. Just didn't have the car, don't really like those kind of slow cars, and didn't have a lot of the tracks, so decided to skip this one and hopefully be back for a few better races in the next Open Wheel Championship. But with that, we'll take a look at the final championship order at the end of this season. Jason Smith taking the championship, level on points with Ronan Doherty, but winning it on countback with more race wins, and both of them a long way ahead of Jason Cooper in third place. So congratulations to Jason on the championship victory, and I'm sure he'll be hoping to retain his crown in the next Open Wheel Championship. For myself, finishing down in 25th in the end, so even though I didn't do the last 3 rounds, didn't end up losing too many places. But that is it for this episode and this season of RTA. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe before you go. And if you have any suggestions for how I could make these league racing videos better in the future, as I do have another league that I'm planning to take part in lined up, make sure you leave a comment down below. But until the next one, thanks for watching. See you then.